you're new to Bitcoin, welcome. If you know, you know. I would like to introduce you to a key archetype. Meet the hodler. These are the people the world thought were batshit crazy until a couple weeks ago. Hodlers are the heart and soul of the Bitcoin community. Understanding how they think is vital if you're going to play this game in which they hold all the cards or coins. Many hodlers bought and mined Bitcoin in the beginning, like when it was 1 cent, $1, $5, $100. They own a vast majority of the Bitcoin in existence, control the market, they never sell and probably never will. The reason hodlers never sell is because they see Bitcoin as replacing fiat currency. They don't want to own dollars. They want to kill the dollar. To them, this isn't about making profits, it's about changing the world. By the way, Phil, I think me and you have said this a million fucking times, right? Are we OGs like this? Maybe not, right? But still, this is what we call it. Maybe we're not the OG hodlers, but we're the plebs. We're the plebs. But anyways, think about it. These people saw Bitcoin go from nothing to 1,000, they didn't sell, and went all the way back down to 100 and they didn't budge. Then they've rocketed up to 15,000. The ultimate hodler is Satoshi Nakamoto himself. Satoshi owns the keys to billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and hasn't sold, spent, or spent any of it. Hodlers believe Bitcoin will go to 100,000 and beyond. When it does, no one will have to exchange Bitcoin for dollars because the world will be using it as cash. The hodler is the best kind of crazy, the kind that changes the world. They are all Satoshi. We are all Satoshi except for Craig Wright. And now so are you. Anyways, dude, awesome freaking thread, man. Right? Awesome thread. But I think that you got something wrong, man. Right? I'm not as OG, right, as, you know, these people. I wish I got $5 Bitcoin. That'd be great. I think I was too young. I was like, you know, worrying about partying and girls at that time, right? But still, dude, like I'm just as invested in this peaceful revolution as who he calls the hodler. And I know Q feels the same way. I know Phil feels the same way, right? This is a peaceful revolution. This is about freeing mankind from the tyranny of central banking. This is about the separation of money and state. The state will never be not corrupted as long as it controls the money supply. That is the root of all evil, right? That is literally the problem. That's what Bitcoiners fight for every day. But when we say fight, all it means is just buying Bitcoin and putting into self-custody, into cold storage. That is the fight. That is the act of resistance. That is the act of, I'm not complying with you. I'm opting out of your political money garbage, right? So that thread was amazing. But hey, man, the plebs, we might not have bought Bitcoin at $5, but buddy, we're still fighting. We're still fighting with you, man. We just might be a lot smaller. Phil?
Yeah, we just have a lot less corn to throw at the battle, right? We have a lot less corn to throw at the battle, but we have just the same amount of heart, right?
Yes.
We have the same amount of heart, and this is the thing about Bitcoin, right? A lot of us, I hate painting everyone with a broad brush, but, you know, there's a lot of us that came to Bitcoin for fiat gains. A lot of us came to it for different ideologies that were much less noble than what it can really be used for. And once you come to the understanding that Bitcoin actually fixes the world because it fixes the base layer of our value transmission and our value retention, okay? It changes everything, and you are no longer just sitting here for fiat gains. You understand that you're part of something that is revolutionary, that is changing the world, and it's finally something, right? Like, this is something that desperately needs to get fixed. Like, necessity is the mother of all invention. We had, like, there was no choice. Like, there's a saying that I learned early in Bitcoin. Bitcoin was inevitable. And it's true. When you look back at our human history, Bitcoin was absolutely inevitable. Satoshi was inevitable. The cypherpunks were inevitable. All of these people, all of these things were absolutely inevitable based on the actions that were put into motion years ago and the terrible decisions by stupid power-hungry humans. Anyways.
I wouldn't even say that it's necessarily terrible decisions, Phil. What I would say mostly is that the incentives of the fiat system are misaligned in the way that these central bankers, they're just pursuing their own incentives. It just happens that their own incentives hurt a lot not
terrible decisions.
And are terrible, but for them, not. It's great, right? And this is the tragedy of central banking, right? Is that it's a bad system. The beauty of Bitcoin is that everybody could win, which is, and it's so unbelievable that when you tell a no-coiner this, they're in freaking shock. Anyways, Q, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think Phil put it really well. When you have just historically speaking, the way money has come and gone and the global standard of what money is has changed repeatedly over time. But the banking system is flawed inherently. I disagree with one thing that you said though, Nico, where these bankers, they created the incentive structure that they are playing in. They are essentially both the players and the referees and the commissioner of the game that you and I are playing against them on. And at that point, it's like, all right, dude, I might as well just be playing against the Harlem Globetrotters at that point. Like I have no chance at winning that game. There are always like those crazy stories or whatever, like grandma bought a bunch of Apple stock. No one knew where she hid it. And then boom, all of a sudden she dies and now we're all millionaires. Sure. Congratulations to those of you who had that opportunity. My dad slept on literally all of those stocks. At the same time though, like there's a second layer to this where, and if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, check out Pete Rizzo's article that he wrote for Forbes, where he essentially breaks down, like there are now two classes of Bitcoiners. This goes back now to like the old original hodlers and like those of us, like the little hodler, me, Nico, and Phil, we just got into this. Like, this is not like we were buying up Bitcoin at $1 or even $100, like still kicking myself for genuinely not wanting to use Silk Road in college because my friend was like, no, you can't use dollars. Like you got to go buy this thing called Bitcoin. That was the moment I said no. Not, oh, I'm going to send illegal drugs to myself in my college dorm hall. That was not my problem. My problem was like, no, I don't want to spend more time learning about something else and doing all this. So we'll buy overpriced weed here in DC. There is inherently two classes of Bitcoiners at this present moment. There are the OGs that are essentially the platform maximalists, as Rizzo calls it, which is they believe in the technology behind this. They believe that everything that we interact with on the internet is going to end up being built on top of Bitcoin to make it a more equitable, more evenly distributed, and more accessible form of communication and just frankly, a better internet. Then there are those, and I will put myself in this category, that are more the monetary maximalists. I came into Bitcoin because I was a finance guy. My buddy kept hounding me about Bitcoin. The moment we spent time talking about it, I was like, yo, you're absolutely right. Like from a financial standpoint, like, dude, we can make a ton of fiat dollars just buying up some Bitcoin and it's going to rip. Like it might not rip tomorrow, but it will. Thank my lucky stars that I was a broke ass assistant in Hollywood at the time because Bitcoin just hit $19,000 when we had that conversation. I had no money to put in it. And if I had done it at that moment and then watched it go from like 1920 down to 3K, I would have been so turned off. I'd be like, yo, like, no, I'm out. Don't even talk to me about Bitcoin. I lost too much on it. Thank God I literally had to wait 8 months to get promoted and then finally got like what should barely be described as a livable wage as a legitimate agent in Hollywood. And then I was able to start buying Bitcoin.
Oh man. But you skipped. Oh dude. So Q, you haven't done the full cycle yet.
No. So my first buy was 2018.
Okay.
So I'm now 4 years.
Okay.
I'm technically speaking 4 years in.
You still haven't experienced a bear market, buddy.
Not even.
That is where your balls calcify. That is like when, you know, you're literally watching like years and years of salary dissipate before your eyes. It is the most terrible feeling. I never forget end of 2017, early 2018. I was like, God damn, I think I need to go back to work in real estate. What is this? God damn, this sucks. I'm poor. But yeah, and then that's honestly when you start solidifying your beliefs, right? You're just like, dude, like yeah, the money's nice, but I'm staying for the freedom. I'm staying for the freedom. What self-custody enables an individual to do is freaking priceless, and that's why I stayed. And then NGU technology is kind of like a side effect, but I definitely gonna check out that article. That sounds really fascinating. Phil?
It's awesome. I want to throw one more number if I can, I can interrupt you. Because like you're absolutely right. I haven't really lived through a bear market. Like you can call what we are on a technical basis a bear market because we have more than a 20% decline. But the truth is, and I had this conversation just this morning with our team on Bitcoin Magazine Live, like you look at the 30-day trailing correlation between the NASDAQ 100 and Bitcoin, and that's above 90%. And it's been holding that level for over a month now. Then you even expand that out to 40 days. And now you have over a 67% correlation between NASDAQ 100, the best 100 tech stocks in the stock market, and then Bitcoin, which is more or less at this point, a tech asset class that's being traded. I still study and trade in the public markets just because like I have that ability to, and I'm not going to not make money. I have been a net seller since December, and I'm waiting and watching for this market to really collapse in March of 2020, in the same way it did in March 2020. But if I also buy into this idea that right now in 2022, Bitcoin trades like a tech asset class, no different than the public markets. Well, if I'm anticipating a sell-off in this public market, I'm also going to anticipate a hard sell-off in Bitcoin. I'm going to take a little bit of hopium here. And my expectation is that's going to be the decoupling. That's when we finally see Bitcoin separate from the NASDAQ and whatnot. But that's the real bear market that I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree with the sentiment in terms of, I think that this puppy still has, and again, speculation, tinfoil hat time. I still think that this cycle isn't over yet. I still think we have one last catalyst, one last leg up, but who knows? Let's see how it plays out. And I completely agree. And I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who still works at Goldman. I've been trying to orange pill this guy for 6 years, still doesn't listen to me. And one of the things that he brought up when we were talking is, hey, what about the correlation between the NASDAQ and Bitcoin? What's the deal with that? And it's undeniable, right? But I suspect that's temporary. So I agree with your sentiment.